So we got more Mount Blade Bannerlord tonight, doing more of the Asorai campaign. But I got a couple of news stories we're going to talk about tonight. One of them dropped today. It's pretty major news. So strap in. But we're going to start a little light. We're going to talk about Ubisoft. Because Ubisoft has kind of been in the news for the past couple days now. We're going to talk about Stop Killing Games again. Because it has been making... It's been basically making a lot of game companies scared, rightfully so. Because it's going against what a lot of game companies don't like to do, and that is, you know, being nice to consumers. To keep brief summary on Stop Killing Games, it is an initiative that was started last year. That was, you know, having help. It was being promoted by Accursed Farms. And there's a whole thing about Stop Killing Games that I could go into, but basically the entire gist of it is that it's an initiative that's meant to put an end to game companies effectively killing the products that you buy. The age-old example that everyone brings up when it comes to this is, you know, it's also related to Ubisoft, is the whole deal with The Crew. Because The Crew is an online-only game that had the ability to be played offline and in single-player mode, but Ubisoft decided to shut the game down entirely, and it actually got pulled from players' Ubisoft libraries, which there is still, I think, an ongoing lawsuit regarding that whole thing that is taking, I think it's in LA, somewhere in California, I want to say. But a lot of people are furious at Ubisoft for this. And Stop Killing Games was this big initiative that basically there was a series of a couple of petitions, one for the UK and one for Europe, and the entire idea was these were government petitions. This wasn't just like a change.org petition. This was an official like political thing that you had to sign so that it could be like brought up to the governments of both Europe and the UK, and which thankfully, big update though, the EU petition did just break 1.4 million signatures, which is amazing. So it is definitely going to get brought up to the European Parliament in hopes for trying to get some form of legislation passed that prevents game companies from doing this. And we talked about the Video Games Europe, which is the a lobbying group just speaking nonsense against Stop Killing Games. Ubisoft is in the news from a couple days ago because their CEO directly talked about Stop Killing Games. It's a direct quote from an article from GameSpot. Their CEO, Guillemot, said, "You provide a service, but nothing is written in stone, and at some point, the service may be discontinued. Nothing is eternal, and we are doing our best to make sure that things go well for all players and buyers, because obviously support for all games cannot last forever." And this is one of the big arguments that a lot of the game companies are trying to use against Stop Killing Games, because they're trying to say that we are demanding that they continue support for a game till the end of time. That is not what we're asking for. The entire point of Stop Killing Games is to keep games in a functional and playable state. Like, again, with The Crew, for example. Ubisoft could have easily released an update for that game that makes it completely offline, but you still get to play that game. And actually, rare occurrence of this happening, if anyone remembers Marvel's Avengers, that dumpster fire of a live service game that shut down a few years ago, they actually did release an offline update for Avengers, so you can still play that game offline. Like, you can still do everything there is to do in that game. You just can't do the online stuff. And that was one of those rare occurrences where the devs of that game kept Marvel's Avengers in a functional and playable state. And that is what we are asking for. And Ubisoft is trying to make the argument that we're demanding that they keep support for the games forever, which obviously we know that that is not possible. We are just asking for you guys to do something like an offline update that lets us continue to play the games even after they go offline. Like, granted, like for something like Helldivers 2, yes, it could be boring playing that game just offline, like whenever that game gets inevitably shut down, but you could still theoretically play that game offline. It would be difficult, but it would be possible. And that is what we're asking for in these lobbying groups that are against Stop Killing Games, and more specifically Ubisoft, are trying to make these stupid arguments against it that don't make any sense. And actually, more recently, not more recently, today actually, Accursed Farms put out a video because someone in the EU put out an anonymous accusation, an anonymous complaint to the European Parliament, basically putting out false accusations towards Accursed Farms. He has a whole video on it that he posted today that you can go check out. That goes into much more detail that I'm not going to get into because I only got so much time. But I highly implore you to go check out that video. Again, user is Accursed Farms. Ross, yeah, he's basically been the big face of the Stop Killing Games. He isn't the one who created it. It was created by a separate group of people, but he is one of the big representatives of it for over here in the US. Because the entire idea is that if we could get legislation to be passed in Europe and the UK, then it will be easier for it to pass over here in the US. So yeah, that's kind of like the minor update, pretty major update regarding Stop Killing Games and Ubisoft. The other Ubisoft story is that they came out like around both these were said around the same exact time. Ubisoft came out and said that microtransactions make the player experience more fun. No, they don't. I don't think they do. What makes a game fun is, for one, if the game is good, and also a lot of it is also could just be down to personal preference, honestly. But that's just a wild thing to say when, they're trying to use this whole thing about like, oh, we gave our players these microtransactions to give them an easier time at the game. Thusly, it makes the game more fun because it's easy. It's like, no, it means you made the game to be longer than it should have been, and you're giving players a way to speed up the process. Case in point, look at everything with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. When that game came out, they released these microtransaction XP boosters that would help the player level up faster, and I think the term that they used specifically was the term time savers. They tried to call them digital time savers. Now, I didn't buy any of those when I played AC Odyssey, because either they made it because they only did it because they made it more difficult to progress and level up in Odyssey if you're just doing main story stuff. So they wanted to give players a way to just speed up that process. Now, I don't know if this is just like me, or maybe they made it easier to progress. But as someone who plays a lot of RPGs and likes to do side quests in those RPGs, I do occasionally find myself being overleveled for the main story content. So I had a relatively easy time going through Odyssey. I didn't really feel compelled to like, oh, I need to buy, like, no, I rarely ever buy XP boosters, even for multiplayer games. Like, I just think it's dumb. Like, you padded out your game to make it longer than it should have been, and you realize that players weren't going to be happy with that, so you give them a way to spend money. And that is, I don't know, It's kind of the same issue I have with the Loan Shark cards for GTA Online, where it's like players don't want to do the fun ways of trying to make money in GTA Online, so you just buy money. And I think that's incredibly shitty to me. So yeah, just some wacky statements being said in the wacky land of Ubisoft. Yeah, that's about all on that one. Now we have the biggest, this is probably gonna be the biggest news story of the week. It just dropped today, a few hours ago, and it has to deal with the VTubing space. Because Ironmouse, who, if you don't know, Ironmouse is one of the largest content creators on Twitch, one of the biggest Twitch streamers of all time. Has, I think she has like 2.3 million followers. It's insane. She's massively popular in not just the general Twitch community, but also just in the VTubing space in general. She put out a video today announcing that she has left Vshojo, which Vshojo is a VTuber talent agency. We've seen them pop up throughout the 2020s. You had Vshojo. There's also Niji Sanji, which I didn't know too much about. All I know is that I never heard any good things about Niji Sanji. That's all I'll say on that end, because they're not the focal point. But Ironmouse announced that she was leaving Vshojo because she recently found out that not only was Vshojo withholding funds that she herself is owed, i.e. like there's money that they are supposed to pay Mouse and they just haven't. Not only did they do that, but she also found out that the $500,000 that she raised for the Immune Deficiency Foundation wasn't donated. And to try and explain to the best of my ability, so one of the things with the Vshojo and a lot of these talent agencies is that they offer the option to handle the funds of the talent that they recruit, and so basically they get their hands on the money first before it's given to the talent. And so Ironmouse was having Vshojo handle all of the money that she was making, not just from her streams, but also doing all of the charity donations on her behalf. Because it is, not only is it a lot of work, but it also keeps her anonymity, which was the big thing that she was like concerned about, was her anonymity. So she had Vshojo handle all of her funds. And she had found out that the $515,000 that she had raised during one of her subathons wasn't donated, hasn't been given to them has been given to the foundation by Vshojo. And if you guys aren't aware, the Immune Deficiency Foundation is a charity that is dedicated to doing research on immunodeficiency, which is a disease. It's a disease that basically makes you more susceptible to being sick, more or less. And there's a type of immunodeficiency that Ironmouse has called CVID, I think is what it's called, which basically makes her locked in her, basically keeps her in her room 24/7. More or less. She cannot go out and she can't go out in person and meet people. She can't really go outside a whole lot. It sucks. It's a very fucked disease to have, and my heart goes out to anyone who does suffer for that. And the fact that so much of this money has been withheld and hasn't been donated to this charity is fucking sickening. It is disgusting. And I'm reminded, and I think this happened before I started doing all the new stuff, but if anyone remembers the completionist stuff from a couple of years ago, people found out that he wasn't actually donating the charity money from Indie Land, and he was like, him and his family were just holding on to that money. And it wasn't until after like all of the news on that shit dropped that they actually did donate the money. And I'm kind of expecting the same situation here where Vshojo are going to at least the heads of Vshojo are going to reluctantly donate, because I say reluctantly because if there's one thing that corporations like, even the corporations that paint themselves to be one of the good ones, the one thing that corporations like is money. So yeah, I never liked agencies. It doesn't matter if it's VTuber agencies or like general talent agencies. They're always so fucking predatory and how they treat their talent. And like I could never see myself in a million years signing to any sort of talent agency, be it VTubing or otherwise, because of how disgusting and predatory they can be. And with Vshojo, they always painted themselves as one of the better agencies. There was always a lot of good, like, great things and goodwill being said about them. But then obviously about over the course of like the past few months now, it's always been confusing as to what exactly was going on with Vshojo, because more recently a lot of people had started to leave the company. You had Giga leaving only a couple months ago, and then just about a month ago you had Zentreya leaving, which was very huge because Zentreya is considered to be like one of the big, like one of the founding members of Vshojo alongside Ironmouse. And so me and a lot of other people were kind of wondering what the hell exactly was going on with, like, what is going on with Vshojo? Like, why are so many people leaving? Well, now we know, given the video that Ironmouse just dropped today. Now, obviously, we don't know full details yet, because Ironmouse did state that, you know, she did state that because this is now going to be an ongoing legal case, obvious recommendation from her attorney, she can disclose full details at this moment, because obviously when you're dealing with a legal battle, the big tip you should always do if you're in a legal battle: keep your mouth shut, because it will be used against you. And that is obviously what Ironmouse is doing. So we won't know full details until after this whole situation is sorted out. My heart does go out to a lot of the fans of Vshojo who feel betrayed about this whole thing. And I think this goes without saying, don't attack the talent that is still a part of Vshojo. Don't go after them. It is not their fault that this is happening. And actually, just before I went live, I was watching Moist Critical's video that he posted about today. A lot of the VTubers that are signed with Vshojo currently are probably locked in to these contracts with some stupid, like, basically clauses in it that prevent them from leaving at any point. So they likely have to let those contracts run out before they can leave. Like, I know most recently, Amelie just joined Vshojo, like, at the beginning of the year. So even if a lot of these VTubers want to leave Vshojo, they probably can't due to contractual reasons. So, again, goes out saying, do not harass or attack any of the talent that is signed with them. They have nothing to do with what is going on. A lot of what's happening with Vshojo is the higher ups. Those are the fuckers you want to be mad at, not the talents assigned to them. And you know, you had a lot of them actually going on their Twitters and actually removing Vshojo's name from their display name. So I think we are definitely about to see not only a mass walkout or a mass leave from Vshojo. I think this is also going to be just the end of VTuber agencies in general. That is what I think is going to be happening. Because it's kind of been getting proven that you don't need to be signed to an agency in order to be successful, especially in the VTubing space. It is a massive ocean. It is a huge ocean that you could be successful in independently. Not just VTubing in general, but also just streaming. You can be successful in it, but as with many things, it does take time to get successful in that, in those spaces. So yeah. To cap this all off though, there is a Tiltify link. I'll post it in the chat. Ironmouse did post a Tiltify link in the description of her video. I'll post it in the Twitch chat here. So if you can, please, I implore you, if you have the means to donate, please donate. If you cannot donate for whatever reason, then please share it around. Because again, it is disgusting that so much money has been withheld from this charity. It is gross, especially for a charity dealing with a disease that not a whole lot of people really know about. I only just learned about immune deficiency last year because of Ironmouse. So please, again, go support the Immune Deficiency Foundation if you can. Go support Ironmouse. They all deserve your love. And I think I can end this off by saying, fuck Vshojo. So update, everyone has left. Unless I am mistaken, basically every VTuber that was, or at least every English VTuber that was associated with Vshojo has left and have basically effectively terminated their contracts, like effective immediately, which on one hand, well, I won't even say on one hand, it's very great news because obviously the last time I talked about it, there was a speculation on how like if the VTubers involved with the Vshojo would be able to terminate their contracts or if they're like locked into these. Thankfully, though, that doesn't appear to be the case, and they can just leave and go back to being independent. So yeah, not only has basically every VTuber for Vshojo quit, Vshojo's website is kind of like in a dead zone right now. Like, you can't access their merch anymore. All of their merch has been effectively pulled from their site. Not surprised. And yeah, this is effectively the downfall of Vshojo and probably just VTuber agencies in general. I think the only other one I think is still ongoing is HoloLive. And I don't really keep up too much. HoloLive, if we're talking about agencies, I think I mentioned this last time too. Vshojo was really the only one I knew anything about. I knew a little bit about HoloLive, and Nijisanji I knew literally nothing about, except for the fact that I've heard no good things about them. So yeah. But positive news, semi-related to that, and it does involve Ironmouse's Tiltify. I brought it up last night. I'll bring it up again. I'll also post it again here in the chat. So if you can donate, please do. If you can't, then share it around. The Tiltify has reached over $700,000 for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. So it's gearing up to, like, I think this will reach $1 million by the end of the week. That is my prediction. I won't be surprised if it does, because, you know, that not only covers the $500,000 that Vshojo didn't donate, but just in case they continue to not donate that $500,000, which I believe is a crime, and like they're gonna have to donate it, but on the somehow rare chance that they don't, this will offset. It'll offset that, and it doubles the you know, the amount of money. But obviously, the best case scenario here is for Vshojo to donate the money, and that is the best case scenario. That is what they should do, because, you know, it's fucking charity money. You're supposed to donate it. You can't fucking pocket it. Yeah, it's, and the weird thing is too, because one of the VTubers, Kson, I believe, she did a live stream where she actually confronted the Japanese CEO of Vshojo live on her stream, and she quit. Like, she quit, like, live on stream, because apparently they weren't paying Kson, because there's been this whole thing on a bunch of VTubers not being paid from Vshojo. Kson apparently hasn't been paid by Vshojo since last September, almost a fucking year ago, which is wild. And from what clips I have seen of it, it seems like it seems like the English branch of Vshojo was like hemorrhaging money, but the Japanese branch was doing pretty well. And, you know, Kson was like, okay, so if the Japanese branch is doing, because I think she's part of the Japanese branch of Vshojo, not the English branch. So she was just like, okay, so if that branch is doing so well, where's my money? Where's my money? Give me my money right now. And the dude basically kept dodging the question, and so she was like, okay, so I quit. And she did explain that she was already planning to quit on the 31st, but obviously this sped up the whole process of everyone quitting, and I do not blame any of the talent for quitting whatsoever. I do not blame them, because this is a very shitty situation to be in. Fuck Vshojo. I think everyone is in all agreement there. Don't know anything about these VTubers companies, but yeah, stealing from your employees, clients, and charities, royally, yeah, no, it is royally fucked up. Like, there is just no excuse for that. But yeah, again, so we got some positive news from this. Again, that's the $700,000 that has been raised through this Tiltify link that Ironmouse set up. Again, go support it if you can. If you can't, share it around. Like, the more eyes, the better. So yeah, that's about as that's basically the biggest update I could give on that whole thing. And obviously, as Ironmouse stated in her video, she can't explain everything that's going on because it's now an ongoing legal case. So she's got to keep her mouth shut on the whole thing, and we won't know full details until after it's all said and done, which probably won't be for about like maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years at most. That might even be being generous. I'm not sure, but yeah. I do have one more thing to talk about. Gonna be ending things off on a sad note today, because as of this this stream / recording, the god the godfather of heavy metal himself, the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, has passed away at 76. I don't know what else to really say on that end other than it just fucking sucks. Me, as well as many other people, thought that this man was going to live forever. That he was gonna stand the test, like, last the test till the end of time, basically. But, you know, you can't, when you're dealing with so many different health issues, it's hard to, it's very hard to beat that. At the very least, Ozzy went out like a fucking legend, having him and his band's final show. On top of that, you know, the Back to the Beginning show is now the highest grossing charity concert of all time. So not only did he have this concert that just absolutely did gangbusters, raising money for so many great causes, he went out doing what he loved, and that's singing in front of his entire empire. And obviously my heart does go out to all of the members of the Osbourne family and his closest friends. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. He went from a Prince of Darkness to the King, and now he is the Legend of Darkness. So, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. You'll be missed, dude. Some very quick news. Well, we got a couple of quick news stories. One of them is another update, and then kind of a big one to go through. So, firstly, another celebrity has unfortunately passed away today, and the celebrity in question is that of professional wrestler Hulk Hogan, who has passed away at 71. Now, I'm going to try to be nice to the best of my ability, because I don't have nice things to say in regards to Hulk Hogan. I will say one thing: I will not deny the impact that he has had on the wrestling industry. I won't deny that. However, this is gonna be a case of great performer, very shitty human being. Yeah, no. In the words of the Great Iron Sheik, fuck the Hulk Hogan. I could go more into that, but I feel like there's plenty of history for you to look up there in case you're curious. But you know, great wrestler, terrible human being, and so I'm not particularly saddened by this man's passing. But quick pivot from that, we have another update in regards to a news story we've been talking about the entire week. Again, when I compile this all into the news. Yeah, exactly. Won't celebrate his passing like some, but I also don't feel bad about it. But yeah, no. When I put all this together for the news, it's literally just gonna be like Vshojo start, then update, and then update again, like literally just right one after the other. But Vshojo has responded to all of the backlash that they've been getting, just to, you know, keep everyone up to speed. Ironmouse announced earlier in the week that she was leaving Vshojo. She said the reason being is because she has reason to believe that Vshojo has not paid her what she is owed, and on top of that, they withheld $500,000 in charity funds. which has led to a lot of other creators that have been associated with Vshojo coming out with their own experiences. All of them have terminated their contracts immediately with Vshojo, which if there's one thing I will give them, they had some pretty good leniency with their contracts in regards of obviously letting people keep their IPs and you know, being able to just up and just cut their contract right when they feel like it. There's some good stuff. But I'm gonna read you guys the full statement from Gunrun, the CEO of Vshojo. And I'm going to immediately point to one thing that I'm going to call out when we get to it. So much so, I cannot believe I'm saying this, guys. This shit had me going back to Twitter just to post one reply to this fucking tweet. I kind of hate that. But anyway, here's the statement. Vshojo has failed, and I've mismanaged the company into the situation you're all witnessing. So today, I'm sharing the difficult news that Vshojo is shutting down, and I take full responsibility for the decisions that led us to this point. I've been doing everything I can to fundraise and right the ship these past few months, but despite my best efforts, we are in a worse position, and those I care about are now paying the price. Over the past few years, we raised around $11 million to pursue a bold, talent-first approach at VTubing, prioritizing creators and community over short-term profits to achieve long-term sustainability. Our funding went directly to our creators through generous splits, debut investments, infrastructure, concerts, events, and staffing, all designed to support them. We also wanted talent to show to own their IP, which we knew was a unique creator-first approach for an agency. However, despite all our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue we needed to sustain that model, and eventually we ran out of money. Additionally, I acknowledge that some of the money spent by the company was raised in connection with the talent activity, which I later learned was intended for a charitable initiative. At the time, we were working hard to raise additional investment capital to cover our costs, and I firmly believed, based on the information available to us, that we would be able to do so and cover all expenses. We were unsuccessful in our fundraising efforts. I made the decision to pursue funding, and I own its consequences. I'm deeply sorry to all the talents, staff, friends, and community members who believed in our brand. You did not deserve this. Okay, so the immediate thing I pointed out reading this is the juicy line of, which I later learned was intended for a charitable initiative. That right there is complete bullshit. Because Ironmouse, and on top of that, people are pointing to a tweet that Ludwig made, because this is all in regards to a subathon that Ironmouse did around the same time last year, where she raised the $500,000. Ludwig, made a tweet about it that Vshojo retweeted, and on top of that, Ironmouse asked you guys to donate the money on her behalf to the charity. So you cannot give me this whole, we learned that the money was, we later found out that it was being used for like, no, that's complete and utter bullshit. You guys fucking knew, and you guys are sorry that you guys, well, not really you guys, this is mainly towards Gunrun. You're sorry that you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. That's what this entire statement really boils down to, is that you're not sorry for any of the talent that you hurt. You're not sorry for the talent that you refused to pay. You're sorry that you got caught. That is what this is, and it's just complete and utter bullshit. And obviously we're seeing responses from everyone across the VTubing space. Responses from Shy Lily, Ironmouse, Haruka, Bao, Buff Pup, Zen, hold on, let's see if I can find it. It's from Vex, saying, you don't spend money you don't have, especially other people's money and charity money. God, we really do need finances 101 for people in this space, which obviously I can't agree more. Because, not paying your talent is one thing, especially in the case of Kason, where they literally didn't pay her for almost a fucking year. but refusing to donate charity money and then trying to act like, oh, is that what this money was for? Oh, I thought it was just for me. Like, no, it was not. You guys were told. You knew that it was charity money. Like, such a fucking crock of bullshit this whole entire statement is. Again, my heart does go out to all of the Vshojo talent and all the fans of Vshojo who felt incredibly betrayed by this whole entire ordeal. It's an incredibly fucked up situation. And to kind of lighten the mood on that story, another update to Ironmouse's Tiltify campaign that she started earlier in the week. It has broken over $1 million. As of right now, the Tiltify is at $1.2 million raised for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. And, I couldn't be happier on that end. It's a lot of money being donated to a very, very great cause. Money that should have been donated a year ago, but wasn't. And you know what? Not only did we cover the initial 500K, but we did extra. We did more than extra. We doubled it and then some. And I couldn't be prouder of the whole community on pulling together for this. But on to the next story I got. I almost didn't talk about this one because I didn't know full details on it, and I wanted to wait for more stuff to come out, but I feel like enough has come out to where I could probably I feel like I could confidently talk about it in the slice bit. We're gonna talk about the recent collective shout censorship that has been happening in the gaming space. Now, this all started earlier this week when Steam announced that they were delisting a bunch of NSFW games from their store page, and initially I supported it because it seemed like a lot of the NSFW games that they were removing were a lot of like visual novel games that had to deal with like incest and SA material and like that stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm perfectly fine with that shit being removed because it's fucking disgusting. However, after more and more information coming out about this particular group, Collective Shout, because this is what had happened, apparently this group seemingly bombarded payment processors like Visa and MasterCard into essentially forcing them to force Steam to remove these games. And Steam wasn't the only target in this whole ordeal, because itch.io has also been targeted, and they have removed, I think they flat out removed all of their NSFW games from their store page as a result of this. And going into more Collective Shout's history, they are a very, very, I try not to go overtly political, but I feel like I have to get a little bit political on this. They are deemed as a far-right feminist group who don't want... They're essentially the people who don't want any form of, like, overtly sexual representation of women in gaming. Because looking big into their history, they tried to get Grand Theft Auto 5 banned in Australia because in their own words, they tried to say that it basically promoted violence against women, which just flat out isn't true. If you played any fucking GTA game, you are given free reign to do whatever the hell you want. And nowhere in the game does it actively tell you to go harass a certain group at all. So that's just complete bullshit. And they also attempted to get Detroit Become Human banned in Australia when that was coming around. And I know what scene they were talking about. And I'm going to delve into Detroit spoilers for just a brief moment, because there is a scene in the game that okay, I'm gonna go full spoiler territory for this. So in Detroit Become Human, there's a part in the game where you take control of an android named Anna, I believe her name is, and you're the android maid of this very rundown house. You got this deadbeat dad who's very violent, and Anna ends up befriending the daughter of this dad. And there's a point in the game where the dad basically goes on this drug-fueled rage and attempts to kill the child, and it causes Anna's programming to essentially break out of like all the safety nets, and Anna ends up protecting the child and killing the father. And they tried to, in Collective Shout, tried to get Detroit Become Human removed specifically for that scene. And this is just, quite frankly, just a case of, they say they fight for all women, but they really don't. Because going more into their whole, like, ideology, games like Tomb Raider, games like Baldur's Gate 3, those games, like, if they were able to dictate what games couldn't be released, those two games would be on their shit list. For those basically any sort of like female lead game wouldn't be able to get released, because it would put the woman in a form of danger. Like Lara Croft, for example, she fights dinosaurs in the first game. So yeah, and like I said, they seem to remove a bunch of these games because they essentially harassed Visa and MasterCard into getting these games removed, which delves into one issue that basically everyone has been talking about, and that's payment processors dictating what you can and can't buy, which is something that I don't agree with. Obviously, if you're buying like highly illegal shit, then at that point that's up to law enforcement to deal with. But for a payment processor to just come in and say you can no longer buy this game, and it started with some of those NSFW titles I was talking about earlier on, but it ain't gonna stop there. They're gonna go further. They're gonna try and push to a point where they're gonna try and get GTA 6 pulled from shelves. They're gonna try and get games that have already been out for years now, like Cyberpunk 2077 pulled, because it puts women in like this negative space, even though in Cyberpunk you can make V a woman and you can make her into a total fucking badass. I know I'm just kind of like going all over the place on this point, but the simple thing is they won't just stop there. They're going to reach and reach and reach and reach to where it's not only just video games, but it's also like, it's not just censorship of video games, but it's also, it could be censorship of like certain toy industries that I don't think I can say on Twitch, and like movies. It could go to movies, and again, it goes into this whole thing of processors trying to dictate what you can and can't buy, which is something that I am not for. It's something that was actually brought to my attention that I'm gonna share with everyone, because it has been brought to my attention that there is a bill that was just introduced into Congress earlier in the year, called the Fair Access to Banking Act. It was introduced back in February, and I'm gonna read you guys what this is about. This is directly off of the Congress website. It says, This bill places restrictions on certain banks, credit unions, and payment card networks if they refuse to do business with a person who complies with the law. Restrictions include prohibiting the use of electronic funds transfer systems and lending programs, termination of an institution's depository insurance, and specified civil penalties. Banks and other specified financial institutions are allowed to deny financial services to a person only if the denial is justified by a documented failure of that person to meet quantitative impartial risk-based standards established in advance by the institution. This justification may not be based upon reputational risks to the institution. The bill establishes the right for a person to bring a civil action for a violation of this bill. So, simply put, it would prevent, you know, companies like Visa and MasterCard telling Steam, hey, you can no longer sell these games on your on your storefront. You gotta pull them out. You gotta pull them off. And essentially preventing many players from buying those games. And I don't exactly know how true this is, but in terms of the itch.io situation, which from what I understand is that's like a massive platform for independent developers. I only just heard about it like recently. Apparently a lot of people had games they had already purchased pulled from their libraries because of this shit. Which, you know, we've kind of been talking about the whole stop killing games thing all throughout this week and the past few weeks now, and this is just kind of like not only a part of that, but it's also we're getting into this whole entire like next phase of protecting gaming. On like, not only are we fighting for stop killing games, we're fighting so that we can actually buy games. And again, I need to reiterate, I really don't care about some of the earlier games, some of the, you know, the problematic NSFW games being removed. But given the fact that they've already shown that they are reaching to try and pull games like Grand Theft Auto down, again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. They are going to go further. And also, this is just kind of an add a note to show again how much they don't give a fuck about women. They have gone on record to defend the Netflix movie Cuties. And the less I say about Cuties, the better. It is an incredibly fucked up movie. You can go do your own research on that, because I'm not going to get into it here. But the fact that they tried to defend that movie and saying that it actually empowers women goes to show what kind of people this group actually is. So yeah. But once again, I do need I'm gonna one last thing to like cap this whole thing off. Go check out the Fair Access to Banking bill. Do it. Get in contact with your members of your local members of Congress. Try and get them to push this bill, because I think this could really help in the grand scheme of things. And hopefully, if we can get something like this to be passed here in the United States, it could probably push for other countries in Europe to do the same. It's kind of funny how we're pushing for legislation to be passed in Europe to prevent game companies from, destroying the games that players have purchased. And we're hoping that with legislation in Europe being passed, it would trickle down to the United States. In the United States, we're kind of getting a reversal here. With this particular bill, if we can get this passed, then it could call for other countries to go pass similar legislation. I do got one very quick news story to bring up tonight. And it's involving a TV adaptation of a game that I actually just started playing recently for the very first time. Wolfenstein is getting a TV show adaptation being made over at Amazon. Just started development. I don't know when they said it. If I had to take a guess, it's probably not going to premiere until maybe late next year. That's going to be my guess. But no, I started playing the first, well, the first Wolfenstein game and like the newer. I haven't played the original Wolfenstein games. I've only, again, I started playing the New Blood, which is like a reboot / remake of the Wolfenstein series, and I'm personally having a lot of fun with it. I think it's really cool. I think it's a little funny how I'm playing this at the same time as Doom 2016. But you know, again, quite enjoying it. It'll be interesting to see how they do the show. I got really nothing else on that end though. Actually, who's making it? Let me check that again. Patrick Somerville is being listed as the creator, writer, and executive producer. Okay, it seems like he hasn't really done a whole lot. So he's done The Bridge, 24, Live Another Day, The Leftovers, A Maniac, Made for Love, and Station 11. I don't know what any of those are. So definitely seems to be like a newer person in the space. Hopefully he can pull it off. I also just hope they don't cut corners and try and, like, you know, chicken out a lot of a lot of what makes Wolfenstein fucking Wolfenstein. The official logline, the tagline of the series, it's a simple thing. Goes into the story of Wolfenstein. The story of killing Nazis is evergreen, and I cannot agree more. Again, could be fun. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on it whenever it gets a trailer.